hero IRL, Daniel Rodriguez. He's a Clemson alum. He played football at Clemson, but he's also an Army vet. His story is so unique. He has a Netflix movie called Outpost where he plays himself in the Netflix movie. Unbelievable. Listen to what Daniel has to say.
My name is Daniel Rodriguez. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, Purple Heart recipient, best-selling author, former Clemson Tiger, briefly stint with the Rams, motivational speaker. And I dabble now in music, kind of doing some things in that genre or arena, if you will. So I kind of see myself as a Renaissance man, and I'm so happy to be here and tell you a little bit more about myself.
Love it. So thank you for your service, first of all. Were you nervous going into the Army after high school, just a young kid?
Yes and no. Yes, because it was uncertainty in terms of, what the reality was about to be, but also it was kind of a last resort for me. My father passed away suddenly 4 days after I graduated high school, so my SAT scores and other things weren't in my favor, and it was almost a resort of something that I felt would give me a respectable outlet of what I was doing and would kind of cover up that I was really wasting away my high school years. So I was nervous because I didn't know, but I was also not nervous because I felt it was going to give me stability in my life. So it was a really weird position.
Interesting. So after serving, what did it mean to you to have been through it and served?
It was extremely humbling, and I was grateful to have the freedoms that America upholds to some degree, or have an optic on life that sees it worse than what I had it. So I had a perspective of appreciation more so. Um, on that same note, though, there are things that do frustrate you after you serve, because you felt like you put yourself out there or for a cause, and you come back and people don't appreciate it. So sometimes you have that realm of not selfishness, but just like disgust, and sometimes of like, man, people don't know how good they have it, and so it had that contrast to it. But overall, I was extremely grateful for my service. I'm appreciative that Americans, for the most part, are thankful for the liberties that we try to uphold and abide by. So people thank me for my service. So that I'm very fortunate to have served in a time where, I wasn't a Vietnam era guy coming back, where you've heard the stories of them. So I'm honorable for my service. I did it in a time when we were, back in 2006, when we kind of were in more of a conflict. But after I got out, I was thankful that I walked away from it. Like, I was happy to have done my service and kind of move on with life.
Okay, so after you got off out of your service, you did a workout video that went viral and
Correct.
you
Yeah.
ended up getting a D1 at offer and you chose Clemson.
hmm
Tell me about that experience. Like, was football always the plan?
Yeah, so kind of like how we touched on briefly, my high school transcripts weren't very good, but I was a I was a state championship in AAU basketball. Like, I was a baller, right? I had like a Division II offer in football, so I was an athlete. My father was the athletic director at Quantico, so I grew up on a Marine Corps base. And then that hiatus happened when I joined the military, and you're overseas fighting, and you realize, man, these are all the opportunities I had. I should have applied myself. I wish I would have practiced harder. And you just start having everything come into focus of like what you let go of. And then I came back and had all my eligibility, and my GI Bill was going to pay for my college. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to grind this out, go walk on somewhere, put together a recruitment video. And that was kind of the snowball effect of how I got momentum. And yeah, I put my last penny into a recruitment video that ended up going viral on YouTube. And I had about 100 schools contact me to send me like, we would love to have you as a preferred walk-on. And Coach Sweeney down in Clemson, South Carolina, was just like super persistent, just like energy through the roof in terms of a coach that I felt like would be good for me to learn from and play for. And yeah, that's ultimately kind of in a nutshell how I got discovered. My friends call me like the Justin Bieber of college football because I was discovered on YouTube. So yeah, but hey, it worked. It was, and it's an amazing kind of story in terms of like, putting everything out there for your dream and kind of coming back, try to live it. And it was a ride for, the next 4 years, and had an incredible journey.
Beautiful. Like, I love that story. I couldn't believe it when I read it. And you talked about putting everything out there and you being a veteran. I'm curious your thought process on Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, because he's someone that did put it all out there and it didn't
Yeah.
end well for him. What are your thoughts just being a veteran on that?
I stand for peaceful protest, right? I stand for the First Amendment and our freedom of speech, and I think that he did a brave thing in terms of trying to highlight issues that we're still facing today, that we've been facing for hundreds of years, since the '60s, really, in terms of like an activist progression towards it. So I think it is important for people, I mean, yourself included, like you could put yourself not in that same echelon or platform of walking away from something. I read an interview on yourself is like, you're passionate about this right now. You don't know what tomorrow or the retirement Renee might be. I think Kaepernick didn't know what tomorrow held for the retired Colin. So I think, in your time, in your window, in your dash of life, that you have to commit yourself if you're truly about it. So whether it's taking a knee or checking out from the season to really put your efforts into where you believe change is needed, I support that cause wholeheartedly. So I actually got offended as a veteran when people try to conflict his action towards a disrespect towards the military. Like I hated that narrative of like, it's a disrespect to veterans. It's like, no, if you actually, for me as a veteran who served, that's what we fought for, is so somebody can burn the flag and or take a kneel, like, because that's what this country upholds, is that's your right, that's your belief, that's what you stand for. Then that's why we have the American flag, to be proud of that. The symbolism is what it is. And I always felt very unsettled when there was a clash between it being a veteran thing and a NFL, or and I was like, no, this is our liberties, whether so we uphold a whole bunch of things. People have a whole bunch of different stances. So I'm all for peaceful protest and somebody using their platform. Perfect example in case for somebody you could relate to in the same thing is like a Pat Tillman. And the guy, he walked away from the game, a contract, a guaranteed, worth millions of dollars, to go serve because it was right now. He didn't know what that future was going to hold, or what that conflict might evolve into or de-escalate to. And he felt that his efforts and time must be right now to make an impact. So, those are three tier athletes that I personally respect wholeheartedly. Yourself in that category, because it's like, it's not a platform that you're using, it's your life. Whether you've accumulated a platform through your love and what you do, that's beautiful, but ultimately it's still your life, and you have to be the author of your ambition for that. So
Wow, thank you so much for that. Honestly, I did not expect that. Thank you. You actually also came out with a book called Rise, which is about a soldier, a dream, and a promise kept. So what
correct.
led you to write the book? What led you to do that?
I was in school. It was my junior year of college, and I had done a Tom Rinaldi piece on ESPN. And he had, Tom Rinaldi just always does the emotional pieces on game day. And it was a sentiment piece in terms of my military experience, and kind of talking about how I was wounded in Afghanistan. And that got a lot of recognition from news outlets, wanting to do specials. And the same guy who did Kobe Bryant's book, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock's autobiography, and a few military books, reached out to me through, just a friend of a friend. And it worked out where I was hesitant to do it, but at the same time I knew that, or I was kind of told, it's like, listen, this can be a powerful story for other people, trying to do something, veterans included. So it kind of came by through just highlight and exposure at Clemson. And then I felt that I was being represented properly by an author that could kind of tell the story. And the school at Clemson was extremely helpful of the process. So I was actually the first ever NCAA athlete to have an agent and representation and make money while I wasn't on scholarship, but while I was in school playing, because I was on my GI Bill. But the NCAA and ACC signed waivers. I would fly and do a speech, a book tour, come back and play Saturday against Wake Forest. Like it was a really wild senior year for me, like kind of the positioning I was in. But again, that's how it unfolded. And I knew, and it was cool because Clemson, I think, saw me bigger than the game of football, and they saw the impact that I was having and being able to speak at different universities and organizations. So I'm very grateful to have had that opportunity in a university that helped me, because it just didn't fall. Like they had to help me through regulations and a lot of things. So, but that's how the book came across, and I wrote it at that stage of my life, and that kind of took me a little bit further on tour to this day still.
Well, shouts to Clemson because that's lit for
Yeah.
them to do that because a lot of times they want you to only focus on football, them. So that was amazing.
Yeah, they even sorry, not to cut you off. They even have like a Disney Plus movie coming out, I believe this weekend, and it's a Clemson player. It's a really crazy story of a Clemson player who's something with his mother got sick, and he had his kid brother living in the dorms, and that was like a few years before I got there. And so Clemson just kind of has this track record of like helping the athlete first, trying to put themselves out there, and embrace the family community, which I'm really proud of. So y'all should check out that movie too. It's a Disney Plus movie. It's called it's something, but it's based off the Clemson player. He was on Oprah and stuff. Like, it was a really powerful story a few years back. Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. Like, I'm gonna start
Yeah.
supporting Clemson just off of that. And you talked about it a little bit, but you received the Purple Heart, a Bronze Star. Can you explain, like, can you just tell me what it felt like to receive? Those are like some of the highest honors for people who might not know, but for you, an athlete that you thought in high school, you didn't know which way was up and you didn't know what was going on, to now be receiving honors as a Purple Heart, Bronze Star. Like, can you just explain what that meant to you?
It meant, I never joined. It's kind of funny and just meaningful to me because I didn't join the military for the accolades, right? Like, you kind of heard my road, how I got there. It wasn't something of patriotism where I went off to fight. It was finding myself, really. So when what I endured and having that recognition in terms of like being presented or being pinned the Purple Heart and Bronze Star Medal of Valor, like, I'm just grateful that my service isn't unnoticed. Like, that somebody understood that what I went through. But ultimately, at the same time, it's kind of like a burden to wear because, like, I came back and played football, and I have friends who have Purple Hearts who don't have a leg. So it's like I have this same award, that, like, I'm very respectful for, and I know that I serve, but I know there's also people who have the same award that aren't living the life I have. So, like, I'm very cautious with it because, like, that's why I started off. I didn't join the Army to get it. Like, I was just doing my job. So again, it's very honorable to know that somebody, like, they're thankful for it. But at the end of the day, like, I have to just continue to, like, be positive because, like, if I don't live my life in representation, then I feel like people who have the same award as me would be bitter towards me. If that makes sense. Like, if I'm not doing something constructive, like with both my legs, like, I feel my friend who has, who can't do what I could be doing will be like, man, you don't deserve this Purple Heart. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, it's a weird, like, feeling to have it, but no, ultimately, I was just doing my job, and I wasn't trying to do it for any medals. I was just, like, trying to get my buddies home, and it was what it was. So
You deserve it, and you should not feel that way. But I can understand just because you see people in different situations, but that doesn't take away from your situation. So no.
yeah, I appreciate that.
100%.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Daniel Ray Rodriguez, and I'm rocking with Remotely Renee.
Great. And I just love honoring vets. Memorial Day is for veterans who have passed away or died in, service. But we have so many veterans out here who have served our country, protected us, and we need to give them kudos whenever we can. So I'm happy to be able to thank him for his service.
Yeah, so I actually known Daniel for a few years now. He actually has a book too that I read, probably like the last book I actually physically read besides like audio books.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys should check it out. It's called Rise. And yeah, he went to Clemson when like all the greats went there. Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, Adam Humphries, they're all still playing right now. They sometimes call it Clemson wide receiver U. So that's a debate that everybody has.
Wide receiver you, huh? No, it's really crazy. I just love people that persevere. He definitely didn't have just the straight path to it, but he figured it out. So shouts to Hero IRL. That's Daniel Rodriguez. Check out the Netflix movie Outpost, his book Rise. I mean, like, come on, these athletes are killing it.